Today we're going to talk about crypto whales and how for the very first time they are pouring more money into each of these 5 altcoins than they are into Bitcoin.
I need people to understand, to me, blockchain as a technology is a foregone conclusion. And it's very early, like real early.
All right, so between July 5th and August 16th, 2021, we had seen crypto funds suffer 6 consecutive weeks of outflows from institutional investors, meaning they were taking more money out of crypto investment products than they were putting in. But now for the very first time, we have seen this flip, and now we're seeing significantly more money going into crypto than coming out. However, there is one key difference this time around that we have never, ever seen before. So in today's video, we're going to talk about exactly what this key difference is, and we're going to talk about specific altcoins that institutional investors are picking over Bitcoin. They're pouring more money into each of these specific altcoins than they are into Bitcoin. So if you like this sort of content, well then please be sure to like the video down below, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell notifications, and let me know in the comments down below if you prefer this style of video where they're a little more edited over the other style of videos I typically do where I'm just walking around having a chat with you guys. And if you want to see what stocks I am buying and selling in real time, well then make sure to join our Patreon group. You guys can see access to my $700,000 portfolio on Robinhood, my $200,000 portfolio on Webull, and you also get access to 2 of my 7-figure portfolios on both Charles Schwab and on JP Morgan and Chase. So if you like to see exactly what I'm buying and selling in real time, you want access to live streams, well then make sure to join our Patreon group using the link down below. But anyways, let's start off by looking at a couple of things going on with the overall market before we get into the major announcement from institutional investors and what is going on with regards to the 5 specific altcoins. Make sure also to stick around to the end because I'm going to go over my top picks in terms of altcoins, what I share exclusively with our Patreon community, but I'm going to share that with you guys at the end of the video. So anyways, looking at the market right now, we can see that the global crypto market cap is sitting right around $2.06 trillion. I've been getting a couple of questions. People have been freaking out because we're seeing a number of coins in the red. We're seeing, for example, Bitcoin down about 2.7%, Ethereum down 4.5%, Cardano down 6%, and across the board, a lot of coins are in the red. But we got to remember, first of all, in terms of the total market cap, we're still well above $2 trillion, and we can't be worried about these short-term corrections, or you can't even really call it a correction. A 5 to 10% drop is really just very normal in crypto and is nothing to be worried about. The big thing going on, though, is what is going on with institutional investors and the overall trends in the market. So what we're going to talk about today is what has been going on with crypto funds, because between July 5th and August 16th of 2021, we had seen that crypto funds had suffered 6 weeks consecutively of outflows, 6 consecutive weeks of outflows from crypto funds from institutional investors. We had seen that a couple of altcoins had seen some inflows, but overall, in terms of all crypto funds, we had seen outflows, and this was a little bit concerning because we had seen the market doing really well. We saw Bitcoin during that time period rise from $28,000 per coin all the way up to $50,000 per coin. But meanwhile, we had still seen these outflows, meaning that institutional investors were taking more money out of crypto than what was being put in. However, this all just changed, except with one big exception. So this all changed, and crypto funds finally snapped their 6 weeks of consecutive outflows, and we saw that for the week between August 16th and August 23rd, 2021, we had seen finally that the overall crypto funds had seen inflows from institutional investors. There was about $21 million of net inflows into these crypto funds from institutional investors. But the one big exception is that Bitcoin saw its 7th week in a row of outflows from institutional investors. And this is one of the most important parts of the entire video. One thing that a lot of people aren't talking about, but it is crucial for what's going on with the market, what you should be investing in, and what institutions are actually investing in. So right now what we had seen is that $21 million of net inflows, meaning that there was, $21 million more poured in than what was taken out of these crypto funds. And right now the total assets under management is $57.3 billion, which is the highest we have seen since May, according to the report by digital asset manager CoinShares. The very interesting thing about this, like we said though, is that right now, institutional investors, we saw about $2.8 million of outflows from Bitcoin-focused funds. And while you may think $2.8 million isn't a lot, and in the big scheme of things, it isn't when we're talking about institutional investors, the important thing here is that this was the 7th week in a row that we saw outflows from Bitcoin-focused funds. The last time we had seen this was back in 2018, and it was a record. That was last time we had seen this was back in 2018, just before the so-called crypto winter, when cryptocurrency prices tanked after the massive rally we had back in late 2017. So that was the last time we had seen 7 consecutive weeks of outflows from Bitcoin. So everyone's wondering, does that mean the market is going to be crashing? Are we going to see a major correction? Did we already reach record highs with crypto? And I do not think that is the case, because the interesting part about this is that while we did see $2.8 million in net outflows from Bitcoin-focused funds, that was not the case for a majority of other altcoins that institutional investors put money into. So you got to think about it. Overall, they poured money into crypto, but we saw outflows from Bitcoin. So they must have been putting their money into some other cryptos. And that brings us to the 5 cryptocurrencies that they are pouring money into. And me personally, when I'm looking to invest in crypto, you may be like, oh, it doesn't matter what institutional investors are doing. I don't like these centralized companies. I don't like to follow them. Me personally, I like to look at what they're doing, because they're the ones who have billions of dollars to throw around. They could put billions of dollars into any one altcoin at a given time, causing the price to skyrocket. So the specific altcoins that they have been putting money into, and the funds that we saw net inflows, were, first of all, the largest inflow among all digital assets, among all cryptocurrencies, was into Solana. Solana saw about $7.1 million in inflows from institutional investors, which was the highest out of all cryptocurrencies. And this is despite Solana breaking through all-time record highs and seeing over 100% returns over the last month. So despite it seeing over 100% returns, institutional investors are still extremely bullish on it and put an additional, $7 million into Solana than what they previously had. So if you're worried about getting in too late into a coin like Solana, institutional investors are still pouring more money into it. Solana, for those of you who don't know, is essentially a competitor to something like Cardano, a competitor to something like Ethereum in the decentralized finance space. Solana does have a couple advantages over Ethereum, has a couple advantages over Cardano as well. Solana already has hundreds of projects on the platform. Cardano doesn't. Solana is much faster in terms of transaction speed and is also more energy efficient than something like Ethereum. So it has its advantages, but right now it is still in that number 10 position. Also recently, Solana did receive a major investment, about $314 million, to help it propel and accelerate its development of new projects and continue to grow the platform. The second crypto that they did pour money into, the second largest, was Cardano. Cardano was the second largest crypto asset in terms of inflows from institutional investors on the week of August 16th to August 23rd, 2021. Cardano saw about $6.8 million flow into $6.4 million flow into Cardano in net inflows. This is huge. This is the second week in a row where we had seen Cardano see net inflows from institutional investors. Last week, we had seen that Cardano saw inflows from institutional investors as well, while basically every other crypto saw outflows. We saw that Cardano had right around $3 million in net inflows last week. This week, we're seeing that they have about $6.4 million. Cardano, for those who aren't familiar, it's one of the favorite coins on the channel, and they have a lot of major upgrades coming up with the Alonzo upgrade, which is taking place on September 12th. We have seen a massive rally with the price going from about $1 per coin all the way almost to $3 per coin, and there is a lot of positive news coming out with Cardano. I've never sold a single coin. The third most popular crypto among institutional investors in terms of crypto funds and net inflows was with regards to Ethereum. Ethereum saw $3.2 million of net inflows, and this is very important because previously, the last couple of weeks, we had seen outflows, but now again, we are seeing that institutional investors are taking on more risk. They're not putting money into Bitcoin. They're getting into Cardano, Ethereum, Solana, and all the other altcoins that we're going to talk about. They're willing to take on more risk, which is a sign that they are very bullish on crypto short term and in the long term, because ultimately, when we see institutional investors and retail investors putting more altcoins into their portfolio, that means they're willing to take on more risk. They're feeling a lot more positive about the market. There's a lot more optimism going on, and they're not worried about prices falling. The fourth most popular investment among institutional investors last week in terms of net inflows was Litecoin, which was right around $1.8 million in net inflows. And the fifth was Polkadot, which was $1.1 million. So overall, we are seeing that institutional investors are not pouring more money into Bitcoin, but they are pouring more money into altcoins. And what this shows us is that they are willing to take on more risk. And despite any sort of correction we may be seeing, despite any sort of fear going on in the market, ultimately the big money players are extremely bullish on crypto, and they are not worried at all. They are consistently adding to the positions, and they're consistently adding specifically to smaller altcoins and projects that are a lot smaller than Bitcoin, showing they're willing to take on more risk. So that is what's going on with institutional investors. So anyone who's worried about the market, what's going on, I think for the first time that we're seeing net inflows after 6 consecutive weeks of outflows, this is a sign that's showing us people and institutions are more optimistic about the market. Not only that, but they're picking riskier investments than they previously would have with investing in altcoins versus Bitcoin. That's the second positive thing going on in the market. And overall, we are seeing that Bitcoin and crypto has broken through a number of key resistances lately. We saw Bitcoin break through $50,000 per coin at one point, did fall back down, but ultimately things are looking really good. And then lastly, a couple of coins that I do want to let you guys in on that I have been investing in consistently, dollar cost averaging into. So 5 or 6 favorite coins for me that I have been consistently adding into have been, like, I own Bitcoin. I haven't really added much to that lately, but coins that I've been adding a lot to recently over the last, let's say, month to 2 months have been Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, EOS, Polygon, and Polkadot. Those are the 6 that I've been adding consistently to over the last couple of weeks. The last price I added at for, let's say, Cardano was right around $2.40 per coin. I just like to dollar cost average into all of my cryptos and all of my stocks because I don't have any plans on selling most of my positions anytime soon. Almost every single position I get into is for the long term, things I believe in, things that I wouldn't be worried about if they dropped because I would just add more. So those are the coins that I'm looking at right now. That's what's going on with institutional investors. I hope you guys enjoyed this more edited video. If you did, let me know in the comments down below because I like to look at your feedback for what style of videos you guys like. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. See you guys.